So welcome. This spinal workshop is titled The Sugar in Your Food. And my personal history with sugar, and I feel like I need to share this with you because there was a time when I really didn't think it was that big of a deal. And it was because in my impression, sugar was bad for you because it made you fat. And if I wasn't fat, then sugar wasn't a problem, right? So then I knew that high fructose corn syrup was not good just because the environment that I was exposed to in chiropractic school, it was like a known thing. And then I did some research into it, and you just really shouldn't have that much concentrated anything, really. Whether it's corn syrup or, you know, raspberry juice, like that much concentrated anything is just not good. So I went through a phase in my life where I was reading labels and I was avoiding high fructose corn syrup. Well, I wasn't the only one doing that. There was a lot of people doing that as well. And the food companies started to get a little bit smart to that, so they switched back from high fructose corn syrup back to regular sugar. And so I was really pumped because I was finding all this stuff with regular sugar and not high fructose corn syrup. And I was pumped, so I was eating it. At that time in my life, my wife and I were newly married. We were taking a lot of trips from New York to Virginia because I was interviewing for jobs, looking for housing, like all that kind of stuff. And on the road, it's really hard to eat right? So at the gas stations, I'm reading labels and I'm like, oh, this has sugar, not high fructose corn syrup. Let's get this kettle corn. This is great. Well, at that time, the eczema that I had suffered with since I was about 21, 22, probably most accurately described as dyshydrotic eczema, for any of you guys that care or want to look that up, was starting to get really bad on my hands, both of them. It looked like somebody had taken a blowtorch to both of my hands. And meanwhile, I'm trying to work as a chiropractor. There were weeks in practice that I would have my entire hands bandaged up with kinesio tape and whatever else just to cover them, because if not, I was going to leave a pussy, bloody mess on everybody's clothes. That's how disgusting they were. Guys, I purchased medical leeches because I was at my wit's end with my skin. And I would put these guys on my skin just to try and get some new blood flow. The leeches never lasted more than one session. They all died immediately after ingesting the blood from my hands. How nuts is that? Usually people keep medical leeches for a long time, and in fact, when you look up and try to purchase medical leeches, you're exposed to a whole new subculture of things that people are into, but people keep them as pets, which is crazy, and these leeches can last a long time. Not mine. I bought like 3 rounds of these and bought like 5 or 6 at a time. Anyway, the doctor I worked with, Dr. Bob Leave in Virginia Beach, great guy, awesome mentor. I was having a conversation with him about high fructose corn syrup because it's not just high fructose corn syrup, it's sugar too. And I was like, And I was noticing that because I was battling adrenal fatigue, I was always having an afternoon coffee because I had to go home after a day of practice and do second shift work with Court and the new twin boys. So like my day was just getting started at 6 p.m. as I was driving home with a cup of coffee. But that cup of coffee I was noticing was making my hands flare up really bad. And the only thing that I was doing in the coffee was sugar. Because my father has this awesome Sicilian saying that coffee should be sweet like love and dark like the night. So that's how we did it. So I'm sitting here and I had to face some facts. This beverage was causing my skin to flare up, and my skin was a hazard to the point that I literally just didn't want to live like that anymore. I was at my breaking point with this. And so I'm looking, there's 2 ingredients in this beverage, coffee and sugar. And I just said to myself, please, universe, higher power, whoever's up there, please let it be the sugar, because coffee was my jam. And so I started taking my coffee black, and my skin started to not get flared up in the evening. And so then I started a crusade to eliminate all added sugars. And you can see my hands right now look like normal human hands. It does not look like somebody took a blowtorch to them. And if I have a flare-up, I know exactly why. It's because of the sugar. That was the light bulb moment for me personally when I realized that sugar wasn't bad because it makes people fat. Sugar's bad because It is one of the most damaging and therefore inflammatory substance known to man, period. So it's not just making us fat, it's making our arteries inflamed. Does anybody know some stuff that like might happen if your arteries are inflamed? Like, you know, heart disease, heart attack, all that stuff. It's making our joints deteriorate at an accelerated rate. Autoimmune diseases. It's making our pancreases die. It's bad stuff, which is why we jokingly asterisk out the word sugar in the Spinal Workshop so it looks like the shit in your food. Yeah, it's shit. Guys, think about this. If somebody has diabetes for long enough, their extremities, starting with the feet, start to rot off their body. And that's not because sugar magically affects your feet, it's because of gravity. That's where it all settles to. And that's what it's doing to our insides. This is not just something that we should avoid because it's good for us, but because we hear that, then we're just not going to. This is extremely dangerous. In my life at this point, I treat it like a very hardcore recreational drug. So like at Easter time, if we've got it in the house, it's like a controlled substance. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I'm a sucker for some freaking gummy bears. Because Easter bunny duties, it's hard for me to sit there and pack Easter eggs. And I'm not going to be such a Nazi as to like not let my kids enjoy Halloween and Easter. Because there is a way to enjoy anything in moderation. It's just not a staple in our household. We can't have it there. Because if it's there, I hear it calling to me. There are 2 bars of 85% dark chocolate, organic, in my cabinet right now. And I hear them calling to me. So, it's big deal stuff. I will share with you one more story till we get into exactly how much sugar is in our food that we don't even know about. And that story is that at a certain point in the Caribbean, sugar was the main export, and those sugar farmers really needed a way to sell sugar to Europe. And they figured, hey, why don't we make a nutritional plea such that if cattle farmers and livestock farmers start supplementing their grain with sugar, the cattle will get bigger faster, and then it'll be more profitable for them more quickly, and we can start exporting this sugar. Great idea. How are we gonna prove that sugar is good for you? Great. Well, easy. Let's get 2 groups of dogs. Okay? And then one group of dogs are just going to get water until they die. That'll be the control group. The other group of dogs is going to get sugar water. And obviously the sugar water dogs are going to live longer. Guys, the sugar water dogs died first. They could not prove the point that supplementing cattle feed with sugar was good for the cattle, because it's not true. And the problem isn't the sugar that we seek out. You putting a half a teaspoon of sugar in your coffee in the morning is not causing heart and vascular disease. It's the pounds of sugar that we consume on a daily basis and have no idea it's even there that is destroying lives in this country. And when I say destroying lives, guys, the top 3 problems that cause people to die these days or live out decade-long deaths are related to our food habits and lack of exercise. Big deal stuff. So, let's get started. We're going to start with my favorite. This is Emergen-C, right? This stuff's good for you, right? It helps you get over colds quicker. It helps you not get the cold. It's vitamin C, gosh darn it. All right, well, we've got a packet of vitamins. We got a packet of Emergen-C right here. And if I can open this, we'll see how much is in there. All right, so we all see the Emergen-C, right? Okay, according to this box, the serving size is 1 packet, which we just discovered. Okay, 1 packet of Emergen-C. 1 packet of Emergen-C contains 1.5 teaspoons of sugar, 6 grams. 1 1/2 teaspoons of sugar. So is this a vitamin C packet or is this a sugar packet? That's why it's delicious. That's why you want another one. Sugar is one of the most addictive substances known to man. And this is marketed as something that's supposed to make you healthy. I'd rather forego the vitamin C that's in here, which who knows how much is even in there, to avoid that sugar, especially if my immune system is trying to fight something. Just saying. All right, next thing. We're going to go to the Lay's baked chips. So baked chips are definitely healthier than the not baked chips, right? Well, the serving size is 15 chips. All right, where are we going there with that? We got 2, 4, we've got basically 10 there and another handful. Okay, there's a serving of baked Lay's, the healthy ones. All right, so in the healthy Lay's, there is 3 grams of sugar. Added sugar. I'm not talking about the sugar that exists because potatoes are a carbohydrate. I don't really avoid that kind of sugar. I don't avoid fruits. I don't avoid carbs per se. I avoid added sugar. So we've got 3/4 of a teaspoon of sugar in that. Did you know that you were getting into this much sugar eating a handful of baked Lay's? In this bag, there are about 6 servings of sugar right there. That's crazy for a potato chip, guys. This is supposed to be like the healthy one. That makes me mad. The marketing drives me insane. Okay. And an aside before we move on, I just casually said that sugar is the most addictive substance. You're all addicted to it. You don't even know it. But they did a study with rats that were addicted to both cocaine and sugar. And given an option, the rats go for the sugar over the cocaine every time. It's more addictive than cocaine. That's why it's in everything. For a food manufacturer, is it cheaper to not put something into a food or to put something into a food, right? Nothing is cheaper than something, correct? It's in there because you are looking for it and you don't even know it. And if you don't have it, you are left somehow unsatisfied because you haven't gotten it. It's crazy. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is a Nutri-Grain bar. Another healthy thing, right? It's got Nutri right in the title, guys. That sounds like nutrition to me, right? And there's like whole grains and like real fruit and stuff. Look at the box. Look how healthy that looks with the strawberries and the whole grain. And I'm sure there's some doctor recommended, servings of whole grain help your heart or something in here, right? All right, so in just this one bar, which is the serving size, okay, we've got 12 grams of sugar. That is 1, 2, 3 teaspoons of sugar in that Nutri-Grain bar. That is incredible to me. It's a candy bar branded to look like something that's good for you. And in my opinion, if I'm going to have a candy bar, just give me the damn candy bar. Okay, here's another good one. I don't even know if we have a container big enough for this whole jar of Sweet Baby Ray's here, but we're going to use just the serving size, which is 2 tablespoons. And that's all I ever ingest when I eat barbecue sauce, right? 2 tablespoons. I don't slather everything with it and then lick my fingers afterwards. But what do you think 2 tablespoons fair would be? Okay, there's fair for 2 tablespoons. Here, we'll do a little bit more. Fair? Okay, 2 tablespoons. And in that 2 tablespoons, there is 17 grams of sugar. So that means we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and an eighth. Look at that. That's insane. In this much barbecue sauce, guys. It's crazy. So here's a cool tip. When you're reading a label, they list the ingredients in order of prevalence in the substance. So the first ingredient is the most prevalent thing. Most beverages you will see have water as the first ingredient. And I did expect water was going to be the first ingredient in Sweet Baby Ray's, but I was wrong. The first ingredient is high fructose corn syrup. That means the thing that is the most in here is high fructose corn syrup. This is a jar of high fructose corn syrup, molasses, and some weird things that make it taste like something other than high fructose corn syrup. How crazy is that? That was the last time I actually ate a pecan, or not, I'm allergic to pecans, but my mom would make me a walnut pie, kind of like a pecan pie, just so I could experience it during Christmas time. And one year, I saw her make it, and that was the last time I ever enjoyed it. I was like, Mom, I love you, thank you for doing this for me, but I can't. Because I saw her take this like gallon jug of corn syrup and just pour it into those pecans, and I was like, oh my God. And I couldn't untaste it anymore. So that was it. But my grandfather, he still loves it. God bless him. All right, this can go here. Okay, the last one. This one's near and dear to my heart because I got a lot of people struggling with this right now. Coca-Cola. One of my favorite all-time treats. I do prefer the European Coca-Cola because it's less sweet and you get more of that like Coke flavor. So great. Coca-Cola used to actually have cocaine in their product until it was illegal, which is why it's called Coca-Cola. It was short for Cocaine Cola. Luckily for Coke, which is the largest beverage company in the world, sugar is more addictive than cocaine. All right, so in the Coke, the first ingredient is water, but I just want to share with you some other ingredients. Number 2, high fructose corn syrup. So, in the Coke, there are a whopping 65 grams of sugar in this. That is 160% of the recommended daily value for sugar, which we know is absolute bullshit anyway, because they don't care about our health, so that recommended value should be 0. Anyway, 65 grams, that is 16 1/4 tablespoons. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, oops, 5, okay, 6, 7, oh, that's 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 1/4. Boop. My question to you guys is, how does this stay in solution in this? Because if I tried to mix this with water, it would not stay mixed. So what kind of voodoo magic did they make? Guys, this is a glass of sugar water, carbonated with some coloring in it. That's crazy. So, that's that. My point, guys, is that if you're not reading labels, you are ingesting way more sugar than you can possibly imagine. If I was to show you the average amount of sugar that an average American consumes in a year, I would need a pallet to stack it. A pallet. Not like just, this, which could be excusable if it was like your thing, because we've all got our crutches, right? I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys that I have 0 vices. I've got a lot of them. I really do. And I have a very highly addictive personality. I know that. And so I have to really set myself up with a lot of accountability around me, and I got to set myself up for success by not having things around because I know I'm going to go to them. This is a big deal. So my point is that if you're not reading labels, like I said earlier, you're getting a ton of sugar. And point number 2 is that it's not making you fat. Is it making you fat? Yes. Is that the big problem? No. It's everything else. It's how it's affecting all of your entire life. All of your entire life. If you're addicted to something and you don't have it in that moment in time and you want it, how's your mood? Yeah, sour. I know that if I want something and I can't have it right then and there, I get very cranky. Sleep is one of those things that gets me. But back when I was addicted to nicotine, like high stress day with the kids, it was like I wanted to dip in the house because it's just freaking me out. It messes with your head. When you're addicted to something, it messes with your thought patterns. Your thoughts are not your own. And so somebody else is pulling the puppet strings because you're eating things that you don't know you're eating. And this is just the beginning. So for all of you guys that are already on a health journey, and food needs to be a part of your health journey, and learning exactly how you need to eat for you that's going to set you up for success long term is a lifelong endeavor. At some point, you got to slay this dragon. If we were all in here smokers, could you guys agree that we would have to slay that dragon at some point? Yes. Smoking is not a habit that you can maintain long term. This is not a habit that you can maintain long term. At some point, we got to slay this dragon. Just know that everybody here, if this is something you choose to do, we've got your back. And we're going to help you in any way we possibly can. And if you have not started a health journey yet, where it concerns your food, please listen to me. This is the place to start. For the effort you will put in, you will get the most returns. People that do 2 things start shedding weight. Intermittent fasting and get rid of the sugar, and the weight just falls off. People who struggle with migraines and headaches and joint problems, in addition to chiropractic, this is the next most powerful thing you can do. We're talking about the number 2 most powerful thing you can do. This is $1 million advice here, guys. And when you're ready, so are we. Because this is not an easy thing. More addictive than cocaine. More addictive than nicotine. This is harder for a lot of people than quitting smoking. It's a big deal. Yeah. So, my last ask of you is that you understand completely and totally that health is a journey. And there is no quick fix. There is no life hack to be healthy. Anybody else that's saying that is selling you a load of crap. There is no quick fix. There's no life hack. There is hard work. There is disciplined choices. And discipline doesn't mean self-deprival. Discipline means self-teaching, because the root of the word discipline means teach or learn, just like the root of the word disciple. Somebody who is learning is a disciple. So to be self-disciplined isn't to deprive yourself and live a miserable life where you just don't get to do anything you want to do. It's where you say no to the things that are not taking you to your highest self. And you're saying yes to the things that are. And that's an awesome place to be. Because honestly, I know right now I'm healthier than I've ever been in my entire life. And when I look back at how I was in undergrad, or even before that, I thought I was healthy then. And I do not begrudge any of the decisions I made to become the person I am today. And I know that years from now, as I continue refining this stuff and I continue on this path, that I'm not going to begrudge the things that I decided to do and be to be the healthiest, highest version of me. Does that make sense? And so that means consistently making amazing decisions and always doing the things that are going to put health into your life. And with that being said, I've got an awesome gift for you guys. Take one of these, pass it down. This is just 61 names that sugar is hidden with. Guys, it's not as easy as it looks. It's not going to be like you pick up this Nutri-Grain bar and it just says sugar. okay? It's going to be things like corn solids, invert sugar, dextrose, fructose. What are some of the other crazy ones? Sucrose, maltodextrin. It's everywhere and it's hidden. So there's probably hundreds of names of sugar. These are the big ones. So take one, pass it down. And this is a conversation that I would love to continue having with each of you guys from now until eternity. Like, hey, I found a new name for sugar. Awesome. What is it? Great. Can't wait to add that to my list. The reason why I was very successful with this early on is because I have a background in organic chemistry. And if you don't have that, you're going to be in the weeds here. And that's okay. Because little by little, you can really start to make really profound changes in your entire life. So after you've gotten that, we're all set here this evening, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. If you want to hang out, I will be available for the next 10 minutes to answer questions and chit-chat.